We asked one of the world's most advanced AI, Google Gemini, when Shiba Inu will hit 10 cents, and I guarantee the answer will shock you. So if you have any interest in Shiba Inu or hold any Shib tokens, then you need to watch this video. We also asked Gemini to predict what Shiba Inu's price will be over the next 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months, as well as when it will hit 10 cents. In today's video, I am going to be revealing the shocking answers to these questions, as well as calculating how much money you could make if Shiba Inu hits Gemini's predictions. This video is packed with valuable information For those of you that don't know what Google Gemini is, it is a family of multimodal large language models developed by Google DeepMind. It is also the name of the generative AI chatbot that is powered by these models. Gemini is designed to be a versatile and helpful AI assistant, capable of understanding and generating various types of information, including text, code, images, audio, and video. It is also an extremely useful tool for crypto. Now, before we get to Gemini's predictions, we need to check Shib's current price. Shib's price today is around 600 units. The token also currently has a market cap of over $3.5 billion, ranking it as the 31st most valuable cryptocurrency. Please keep in mind that these prices may have changed by the time you watch this video, and this content is not financial advice. How do the predictions work? I asked Gemini to give me price predictions for Shiba based on 4 different scenarios: a bearish, neutral, bullish, and most realistic scenario. It will be across a 3, 6, and 12-month time frame. Before I asked for the predictions, I gave Gemini a role prompt so that we get higher quality, more reality-based predictions back, instead of Gemini just taking a random prediction from the internet. Let's start with the 90-day predictions. Bearish scenario, 380 units. Rationale: a broad market risk-off event would disproportionately hit speculative assets like SHIB, leading to a breakdown of psychological support and a liquidity flight toward blue-chip majors. Neutral scenario, 635 units. Rationale: SHIB likely remains in a sideways grind, tracking the general crypto market cap, with low volatility as retail interest stays dormant during this consolidation phase. Bullish scenario, 1,450 units. Rationale: a high-velocity altcoin season, triggered by a Bitcoin breakout, could invite the return of retail FOMO, driving a speculative surge that tests previous resistance levels. Most realistic scenario, 715 units. Justification: this target represents an approximately 18.8% gain. In the current 2026 market context of sobering consolidation, a massive 1,000% moonshot is statistically improbable without a viral social catalyst. Instead, we expect SHIB to experience a modest recovery as it captures the overflow of liquidity from larger assets. Based on a $1,000 investment at today's price of 600 units, you would hold approximately 166 million SHIB. Here is how our 90-day targets translate into ROI. For the 90-day outlook, a bullish target of 1,450 units would bring our 166 million coins to a value of $2,409.04, representing a 140.9% ROI, while the more realistic target of 715 units would yield $1,187.91 in value, with an 18.8% return on investment. Extending the Shib analysis to the 6-month mark brings us to early October 2026. At this stage, the meme coin narrative must contend with the institutional aura of crypto. While XRP trades on bank balance sheets, SHIB trades on the velocity of retail capital and the success of its Layer 2, Shibarium. Factoring in the potential for a mid-2026 global liquidity easing and the rollout of Shibarium's privacy upgrades, here is the 180-day outlook for Shibu. Bearish scenario. Price figure, 415 units. Rationale: if the Q2 privacy upgrades face technical delays, or if a major exploit occurs on the Shibarium bridge, investor trust will evaporate. In a high-interest rate liquidity desert, speculative assets are the first to be liquidated, potentially forcing SHIB to a full reset at its 2023/2024 floor. Neutral scenario. Price figure 695 units. Rationale. This assumes Shiba matures into a legacy meme, drifting slowly upward as a byproduct of USD inflation and general market growth. While Shibarium sees steady use, it fails to attract a killer app, leaving Shib to trade in a boring, high correlation range with the total crypto market cap. Bullish scenario. Price figure 2,150 units. Rationale. A perfect storm occurs. The Federal Reserve pivots to aggressive easing, and altcoin mania returns, and the Shibarium FHE privacy upgrade successfully attracts institutional interest for confidential transactions. This would trigger a massive short squeeze and retail FOMO, retesting the psychological resistance levels of early 2024. Most realistic scenario. Price figure 885 units. Justification. This target reflects a 47% gain over 6 months. By October 2026, the sell the news pressure from early year upgrades will have subsided, and the integration with AI gaming, Token Play AI, should provide a tangible utility narrative. This is a sober recovery that respects the massive circulating supply, while acknowledging that Shib's ecosystem is finally moving beyond pure speculation into functional infrastructure. For the 180-day outlook, a bullish target of 2,150 units would bring our 166.1 million coins to a value of $3,572.02, representing a 257.2% ROI, while the more realistic target of 885 units would yield $1,470.34 in value, with a 47.0% return on investment. Projecting a full year out for Shiba Inu requires moving past the dogecoin memes and looking at the cold reality of Shibarium network throughput and global liquidity cycles. In this institutional era of 2026 to 2027, SHIB is no longer a low-cap lottery ticket. It is a mid-cap ecosystem token with a $3.5 billion starting point that requires massive capital to move. By April 2027, the hype premium will have mostly evaporated, replaced by a utility valuation. Here is the 12-month outlook for SHIB. 1-year SHIB price predictions. Bearish scenario. 350 units. Rationale. If the 2026 chaotic market leads to a prolonged recession, SHIB faces a liquidity vacuum. Without the institutional buy and hold floor that Bitcoin or XRP enjoys, a 40% plus drop occurs as retail investors exit for safer yield-bearing assets or cash, potentially forcing a retest of the absolute 2023 cycle lows. Neutral scenario, 950 units. Rationale. This assumes the broader market enters a recovery-light phase where Bitcoin reclaims the $90,000 level, but retail excitement remains muted. SHIB tracks the market's organic growth, benefiting from its new status as an SEC-recognized digital commodity, but fails to break its heavy overhead resistance at the 1,000-unit psychological mark. Bullish scenario, 2,800 units. Rationale. This scenario hinges on a liquidity explosion in late 2026, potentially driven by aggressive central bank easing. If the Shiba Alpha layer, L3, successfully captures a significant share of the private transaction market via its FHE, fully homomorphic encryption, tech, the asset could see a speculative re-rating that targets its 2025 highs. Most realistic scenario, 1,350 units. Detailed justification. This price target assumes a 124% gain driven by 3 critical pillars of growth. Assumption 1. Market growth. Bitcoin successfully navigates the chaotic 2026 period to establish a $100,000 floor by early 2027, creating enough altcoin spillover to lift mid-cap assets. Assumption 2. Regulatory adoption. Following its classification as a digital commodity, SHIB is integrated into more retail-facing fintech apps, like a potential PayPal or Robinhood yield program, stabilizing its daily volume. Assumption 3. Technological utility. The automated burn mechanism on Shibarium, combined with the L3 privacy upgrades, begins to show a tangible, though small, reduction in circulating supply, which finally allows the price to decouple from the death spiral narrative of high supply meme tokens. We expect a steady, albeit volatile, climb that rewards patience rather than chasing overnight riches. Based on your $1,000 investment at today's price of 600 units, you hold 166 million Shib. Here is how the 12-month scenarios impact your wealth. For the one-year outlook, a bullish target of 2,800 units would bring our 166.1 million coins to a value of $4,651.94, representing a 365.2% ROI. While the more realistic target of 1,350 units would yield $2,242.90 in value, with a 124.3% return on investment. Now, let's move on to the 10-cent question. Based on a brutally honest synthesis of current market cap constraints and long-term macroeconomic projections, the single most likely year for SHIB to reach 10 cents is 2075. Rationale. This event requires the convergence of 50 years of automated multi-trillion token supply burns on Shibarium and the Great Nominal Reset, a projected late 21st century era of extreme global fiat debasement, where 10 cents reflects the inflation-adjusted purchasing power of roughly $0.001 today. For Shib to reach 10 cents without the US dollar losing 99% of its value, the ecosystem would need to burn roughly 99.9% of its supply, reducing it from 589 trillion to approximately 500 billion tokens. At current burn rates, this would take thousands of years. Therefore, the only viable path to 10 cents within a human lifetime is through hyperinflationary nominal growth, where the price rises not because Shib became more valuable, but because the dollar became significantly less so. But we also asked Google's Gemini the same questions, but for XRP, and the answers were even more shocking. The Google Gemini video is packed with information, so I highly recommend you check it out.
What is happening? The whales are waking up. Millions and billions of US dollars are on the move. The excitement is like never before. People are screaming to stop these whales. Their actions got out of control. And this is not a bull market. This is something even bigger than that. But why am I being so excited? What is actually going on? And why today is a truly historic day, not only for Shiba Inu, but for the entire crypto space? Well, let's find out. Disclaimer. Today started with a huge surprise in the crypto world. An early Shiba Inu whale. A dress which had been inactive for 2.6 years suddenly reawakened. In just 3 hours, this whale bought over 323 billion Shiba Inu using wrapped Ethereum. This unexpected move caught everyone off guard. Shiba Inu's price had been pretty flat for a while, with not much excitement or major changes. But this whale's activity changed everything. The massive purchase led to a noticeable pump in the price of Shiba Inu. Shiba Inu's price, bringing back excitement to the community. This kind of event is rare, but significant. When a large holder, especially one that's been silent for so long, makes a move, it often sparks interest and speculation. People start wondering what might happen next, and that anticipation can drive up the price and trading volume. But here it gets even crazier. It was actually the blockchain surveillance platform, Spot on Chain, that first noticed the activity from this whale. Interestingly, this address initially received 167 billion Shiba Inu back in April 2021, just 8 months after Shiba Inu was launched. These tokens came from one of the very first whales who got involved with Shiba Inu. Right at the start. This is really important to pay attention to. The fact that this whale is linked to one of the very first big players in Shiba Inu makes it a significant event. Early whales usually have a lot of insight and can influence the market in big ways. So, the fact that this whale connected to one of the very first big players in Shiba Inu is now active again is a big deal. It brings a new level of interest and speculation about what might happen next with Shiba Inu. 3 months after receiving the 167 billion Shiba Inu, this whale staked all the tokens in July 2021. Then, 3 months later, on October 24, 2021, he unstaked them and secured an extra 12.9 million Shiba Inu. On the same day, the whale sold off all 167 billion tokens. It's worth noting that October 2021 was the last bull run for Shiba Inu, with the price hitting an all-time high. So, the sell-off made a lot of sense. The whale cashed out at the peak, taking advantage of the high prices during that period. After those sell-offs, the whale address went quiet and nobody really paid attention to it until now. With the bull market looking ready to take off, this address has suddenly come back to life. Today, at nighttime, the whale made an astonishing 156 transactions, moving millions to billions of Shiba Inu when Spot on Chain first reported it. The whale had bought almost 150 billion Shiba Inu using about 1,000 wrapped Ethereum, which was worth $3.8 million. But the whale didn't stop there. Following the report, he went on to buy another 173 billion Shiba Inu. By the end of this buying spree, the whale had swapped over 2,000 wrapped Ethereum for 323 billion Shiba Inu tokens worth over $8 million, all within 3.8 billion. 3 hours. As of now, the whale hasn't sold or moved any of these tokens. His Shiba Inu balance is currently sitting at 323 billion tokens. This sudden reawakening has certainly grabbed everyone's attention. Interestingly, Shiba Inu is the only major holding in this whale's portfolio. The other assets he has are in very small amounts. It's unclear if the whale will repeat his strategy from 2021, where he staked his Shiba Inu tokens for 3 months before unstaking and selling them. Back 2021, he bought 167 billion Shiba Inu for $600,000 and sold them in October for 5.6.